Good evening, kings and queens of the land. Good evening. Good evening to all the liberated zones in Africa, Burkina Faso, which is led by President Ibrahim Traore. Niger, led by President Abdurrahman Tian, and Mali, led by the beast of Africa, President Assimi Goita. Good evening. Good evening to South Africa, which is led by the beast of the South, President Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma, the MK Party, the partially liberated zone in South Africa, KZN, voted President Zuma, the MK Party, into power. Good evening. My name is Mngoni Mkondo, and this is the Royal Opinion. Today we're talking about the G20. What would be the result of the G20 summit, or the outcomes of the G20 summit for Africans, for Black people? What would be the result of the G20 summit for South Africa, or for Black people in the Southern Africa? Because South Africa has also committed other African countries into these mess. First, let me say South Africa's debt per capita is around it for 2024-2025 financial year is 7,500. 7,500. When they say South Africa's debt per capita, what it means is the debt of South Africa per person, meaning how much per person are we owing to the European Union. So per person in South Africa, we are already owing the Europeans 7,500 in 2024. So this is the money that the government should target to collect from each and individual per month. Per annum, each individual owes at the moment, we owe the European Union 90,000 per annum. So that is why they have to raise the taxes, they have to raise the VAT and all of these personal taxes, because they have realized one thing, very, very important thing that they have realized. They've actually realized that you can actually create slaves and make them work for you and give you money while you are just seated at home. If you make them owe you for no apparent reason, if you create a debt for them, tell them you owe me, and then they pay you forever. South Africa is servicing the European Union debt. When we say they are servicing, we mean they are only paying the interest. They are not paying any amount to lower the debt. They are only paying the interest to avoid default and to be also allowed to borrow the following year. The European Union has committed for this, what we are talking about, For what we're talking about, the European Union has committed since the start for this G20 summit. The European Union has committed 15.5 billion euros, which is equivalent to 310 billion rands. That is the amount of money which they are borrowing to South Africans. This is the amount of money which will be paid by South Africans. They say it's for investment in energy and other areas. This is how it works. When they say there's an investment, what they do, they create the debt, but the money which will be spent, they print in Europe, they will print the money in Europe, and they will spend the money in Europe with the European companies. Maybe only 20 to 30% is going to be spent in South Africa, spent with the people, with the comrades. It will be spent with the slave traders. Initially, when they started, the white people, they started by employing people, employing black people. When they first came here, they employed black people to go and run and fetch uh, another black person. You bring them to the white people, and they will ship them to Europe for work, and they will pay you a commission. It was called slave trading. So slave trading happened, and it continued for a number of years. It continued, I think, for close to 100 years, where people were captured. For more than 100 years, people captured and transported, made to work for other countries in Europe. It came with a lot of challenges, because when you have the slave in the house, then there's a problem, because some of the slaves, because of their intelligence and their hard work, their energy, they fall in love with your children. On the other side, as white person, you don't want to see that happening. Some of the slaves are aggressive. Some of the slaves are angry. All of those, the management of the slave when you have them in your house, it's a little bit difficult. But if you sorry. But if you create a system which they have created, which they have decided to create, the Europeans have they have decided to create a debt trap for all the slaves where they are. You establish a government which will collect the money from the slaves and give the money to the Europeans, as the same as when you have the slave working for you in your house to produce money at the end or to sell. At the end of the day, what you need is the money. So if you can have the end product, the slave is not under your management, it's managed by other people, then you can you only get the benefit, the money from the slave that you are actually giving. So now they come and create debt in African countries. This is the biggest trap that they have decided to use since after the World War II, because this is the poverty trap which Africa is in, the cycle of poverty which Africa has been in. If you are born today, if a child is born today He owes the European Union more than 8,000 already per month that you are supposed to pay to the European Union. You owe the European Union more than 8,000. Your government has to chase you and ensure that they collect money from you to give to the European Union to service the debt which was created by the criminals. The criminals, the European Union themselves are actually criminals. So they work with local criminals or the local slave traders to create debt for black people. And after creating the debt for black people, then you obviously, if we say you start on the negative, you are already starting on the negative because now you are already owing. When a child is born today, they already owe 8,000 in the same month that they are supposed to pay to the European Union or to our slave masters. So you are already on the negative, you are already trapped. So they are rushing for all of this, pushing for all of these loans into our throat. So at the end of the day, this is the money that we're going to pay through the collection of the VAT. Many of black people don't really worry about this because they think the government is the one who is going to pay the money. The government is not paying any money. The people, the resident, the ordinary people, the poor people are the ones who are getting rigged, money taken from poor people to be able to sustain the life in Europe, high class life that has to be sustained in Europe. So that's what this summit is actually about. The summit it's all about Ramaphosa, who is a slave trader, selling out black people, making them heavily indebted to the Europeans, European Union. Already at the moment, we are at 90,000 per capita. When we say debt per capita, 90,000 debt per capita, meaning per annum. An average South African owes about 8,000, maybe more than 10,000 rands that an ordinary South African owes to the European Union through this debt, which is created by these politicians. The money will not be seen by South Africans. These debts are created for corruptions. After this signing of all of this debt, uh, they have been signing. It's already trillions of rands that Ramaphosa has committed to the European Union and to the Americans. That's why he says, America, if America is not coming, it's actually their loss. It's true, is their loss because they are supposed to come and take from the slaves, create an imaginary debt that does not exist, create debt about energy that you actually have. We've got coal in South Africa, create nonsense about the climate change nonsense that you're talking about. Well known, everybody knows that this is just nonsense that they have come up with in order to keep control of people. The 2030 agenda, which these people are pushing, the white people are pushing, the 2030 agenda, which they are pushing, which also included the issue of climate change, which I have actually had Bill Gates pulling back a little bit because they want to use the coal from South Africa. But they say South Africa should use renewable energy because they want to create the debt for South Africans so that we are always bound to their, we are dependent on their companies for our energy, for our electricity in South Africa. Black people will, electricity will become very expensive. We will be dependent on their electricity energy that has been offered and created by the Europeans in South Africa. It will be a private, it will be privatized. It's going to be a private kind of offering. They are going to dismantle and destroy ESCOM. I heard a lot of people, some other people saying Ramaphosa joins Ibrahim Traore. Like, people should stop talking about like the YouTubers who are just talking for the sake of the clicks. We should wake up, because this is the same as what the politicians are doing, selling out people, lying to people for the sake of the clicks. I have seen a lot of YouTubers who are just, we just want the crowds, we just want people to come and click, and anything that has to do, they know people like Ibrahim Traore. So when you compare, when you say Ramaphosa, what, but that is selling out, because Ramaphosa cannot be compared to Ibrahim Traore. Ramaphosa is a straight away slave trader, and an evil slave trader. He does not have love for his people. He's got love for the money. When there's in his comment says he's smelling money in this event. That's what was his comment. He said he's smelling money, and because he's, yeah, and that is true. When he says he's smelling money, he loves the smell of the money. He also put the money under his bed where he's sleeping, and under the sofas where he's sitting, because he loved the smell of money. Mr. Ramaphosa, creating debt. This is the reason why South Africa need President Zuma. Uh, Black people and black children are going to be bound in slavery for the next 200-300 years if we don't wake up to this selling out position, which is creating debt which are totally unnecessary, because energy we can be able to create on our own. South Africa has got coal which can actually be, in the next in the next 300 years, South Africa can still be able to use its coal if we continue to use um, coal at the rate that we are using. We've got reserve to last us for the next 200 to 300 years. So there's no need for us to rely on Europe for energy creation. There's no need for us to rely on what they call renewables. The only reason why they take us to renewables and nuclear energy is for them to create the debt. President Zuma wanted to go to Russia. In actual fact, President Zuma had a deal with Russia for nuclear energy. The deal was build and operate, where the Russian company was going to build the nuclear energy with a huge capacity, and a nuclear plant with a huge capacity, which would solve the problems, electricity problems of South Africa, uh, and operate it. And for particular years, recover your money, hand over the operation to South Africa. People in the process will be trained. But this European Union, what they are doing when they say energy investment, they mean they are going to bring their companies to come and create, to come and privatize ESCOM, to come and take over the energy creation in South Africa, energy production in South Africa, which is critical. If you can't be energy independent, then you remain a slave. Because if you can't create your own energy, energy is critical for for this century that we are in, for the AI revolution. Energy is critical. It's actually, we need 10 times of the energy that we're currently producing. We need more energy to be able to operate AI machines. So if we can't be energy independent, then South Africans are in hell, because we will have to pay money to Europeans for no reason. Coal is sufficient and abundant in South Africa. The renewable energy, we've got uh, um 365 days of sun in many areas of South Africa, many areas of South Africa. We've got 365 days of solar energy available. So if they want to invest in solar energy, or if they want to if the government wants to give people independence and give them free energy, they should invest in the solar energy. So investment in the solar energy, the panels comes from the European Unions. But now the solar energy will also be controlled. You will also have to pay for, you will also have to pay units in your solar energy. So this is the creation of slaves. Let me share.
Thank you very much, President Ramaphosa, dear Cyril. Thank you for your warm welcome here at Joburg. Tomorrow, indeed, you will host the G20 in your great and beautiful country. And this will be the first G20 summit to take place on African soil, the first since the African Union joined as a permanent member. And I think this highlights Africa's central, vital role on the global stage. But first, let's talk about us. Indeed, today the time is here for South Africa and Europe. And indeed, dear Cyril, this has been quite a year for our relationship. Today, we are building with the results you've just witnessed on the success of the summit in Cape Town and of the Global Gateway Summit in Brussels. Thanks again that you were coming there. And now, right here in Joburg, we double down on this very unique partnership. First of all, indeed, we signed our Clean Trade and Investment Partnership. And you must know this is the very first time that the European Union is signing such a partnership. So you are a highly valued partner for a Clean Trade and Investment Partnership. This will boost, of course, trade and investment. It will boost it in key clean sectors, green hydrogen, renewables, many more. And for the first time, we will discuss regulation, we will discuss trade barriers and security of supply under one framework. The CTIP will make South Africa a destination of choice for European clean tech investment. It will also broaden our cooperation on skills, because we all know that technologies are only as good as the people operating them. So skilling people, upskilling is the
So while they're giving us the clean energy, while they come to invest here on clean energy, in Europe they will be importing coal from South Africa, the high quality coal which comes from South Africa. They will import it. We will be exporting it to Europe and to America for um, for energy creation, for electricity. But in South Africa, we're closing down our electricity plants because uh, of the so called clean energy, which the Europeans have to come and invest. Not the people of South Africa. In Burkina Faso, the people of Burkina Faso are the investors. Here, the Europeans are the ones who comes and call themselves investors, create debt for us, which will continue to pay forever. If we talk about servicing debt, we talk about only paying the interest of the debt for generations, paying only the interest. It means the debt is permanent. It means whoever comes after find the debts there, and then the debt continue with the next generation. You can imagine if the government has to target collecting at least 8,500 from each individual in South Africa because the European Union has created this debt for South Africans. How are they going to spend the money, and where are they going to get the money? First, where they get the money, they are going to print it because they own the banks. They are going to print the papers or transfer the digital numbers to their own companies. They're going to employ their own companies. If there's anything that would need to be built, which is measure, they're going to employ their own companies. So money will be spent in Europe. 80% of the money that they're talking about will not even reach Africa. It's a research that has been made. 80% of the aid or 80% of the so called investment or the debt that they are creating for us in the name of investment. It's like when they pretend like they are giving us for free. That debt that they're creating in our name, at the end of the day, will only escalate and escalate and escalate and escalate. The children who are born after are going to pay like their fathers have been paying. This is the biggest sellout of the century. President Ramaphosa is the biggest sellout of the century. At the end of the day, the money that is going to spend to South Africans is the money which is going to be spent to the politicians, which are the slave traders. This time around, they are like they don't have to go and run and fetch the slave and sell to the European. This time around, they only have to sign in a piece of paper that I commit these people to owe you this amount of money. They just have to sign that paper and give it to Europeans, and the Europeans are fine with those papers. For the next 200-300 years, nobody is going to move if we don't find ways. The agreements that we've had with these people, we've agreed in security, meaning they've got a right to come and intervene with our issues when it comes to, we know they actually conduct coups, they actually they have conducted coup in South Africa. For them, a constitutional coup which they conducted in South Africa to install President Ramaphosa. President Ramaphosa did not win elections in South Africa in reality. President Zuma won the election. The MK party, even today, took the IEC to court. Even today, the IEC is refusing to take that case to court, even though it's credible because they control the system, they control everything. Talking about President Zuma and his daughter are one of the people who are going to be arrested because he's fighting these traps which they are creating now with Ramaphosa. He's one of the people, Duduzile Zuma or President Zuma himself or both is going to be arrested very soon. This will be the reaction after this G20. They actually waited for the G20 to happen, so that there's no chaos until they successfully put South Africans in debt. But after putting us in debt, then they want to create chaos. What they are going to do, they will cause the arrest of President Zuma, and the reason for that is because he's going around Africa openly saying that he wants to unite Africa. He's putting boots on the ground on the process of uniting Africa. He does not only uh, own, or is not only talking, he's got the process of leadership which will be adapted by Africa when Africa unites. So this is dangerous for Europe. Ramaphosa has committed our minerals already. He's committed our minerals to the European Union. They're not paying anything to us. South Africans are dying in gambling. South Africans are dying in sicknesses which are caused by GMO food. South Africans are dying with drugs which are actually caused by legal drugs which are forced into people, making them chronic uh, uh, zombies, chronic zombies. Nyaupes, professional nyaupes. There's nobody to fight for the country. No man is available to fight for the country. If we miss what President Zuma is requesting from South Africans, then we miss everything. Then the land of our forefathers is gone. Not only the land, our children are going to suffer as slaves under these white people who came and made our grandfathers, our ancestors suffer, made our fathers and our mothers suffer, and made us to continue in abject poverty. They will continue to create the same to our children if we don't take the last moment or the last step to fight to defeat these people. Click the like button and subscribe. This will be the outcome of the G20. It's more poverty, for Black people. More crisis, more poverty is the outcome of the G20. This, we're talking about evil people, very, very evil people. In Kenya, before I talk about what is happening in Kenya, let me just continue to share a little bit here in the what is happening with the European Union, so that I can share a little.
Most important part here. And of course, with skills come jobs, and new jobs, good jobs right here in South Africa. Today, we also signed our MOU on minerals and metals, the value chain partnership. We need these inputs to power the clean energy transition, both here and in Europe. So the future of our economies depends on a fair and on reliable supply chains. And my emphasis is on reliable supply chains. This is the reason why we...
Yeah, the reason they emphasize on reliable supply chain is because they don't have these things. They don't have these critical minerals, which they are creating debt for us. They are dependent on these minerals and they're depending on us. These are evil people, very evil people, pretending like there's anything good that they are giving to us in these loans, while it's actually heavy on the African.
Strengthen and diversify our supplies among trusted partners. And you are, for us, one of the first trusted partners. This agreement will also help South Africa to expand its strategic industry. And as you said, we are not only looking at extraction. For us, it's very important that we are looking at the whole value chain, at the locally added value, because this brings local jobs. And for us, this is the meaning of a sustainable partnership over a long time and a trusted partnership. And today, indeed, at the airport, I met the Minister for Mining. You received me there, and we were discussing that. And when I said, for us, it's important not only the extraction, but the processing locally and the added value locally and the jobs locally. You said, okay, because you...
These are the people who have been extracting for hundreds of years in Africa without ensuring that they localize the processing. But they speak like this as if like now this is for them is very important. Like we should forget like it's the same people. For them it's very important to these are witches, these are wizards.
Said that, and this is so. I will come this afternoon to sign the agreement. And I was happy that you were here. We are also delivering, as you said, on our 12 billion global gateway investment package. And today we've signed 3 new major projects. First, together with the European Investment Bank, we are investing 350 million euro to modernize South Africa's infrastructure, both in transport and in energy. And this includes support for Transnet's decarbonization under the Just Energy Transition Partnership. The second part is we're launching a 330 million euro financing package to strengthen the value chain for critical raw materials, as we just discussed, but also green hydrogen, e-batteries, electric batteries.
We're already on 700 trillion, was already on more than 700 billion. I mean, we're already on 700 billion euros. This is what we're talking about. The debt which they are creating for us. These are debts that we will have to pay. And we will never see this money. This money is never going to come to us.
And the third part is we're investing 70 million euro in South Africa's pharmaceutical and vaccine production. And this is a real success story because I remember, Cyril, during the pandemic, how much we were discussing how we can make sure that the production, the development and the production of vaccines for Africa.
Who said we needed vaccines? Who said we needed vaccines? Really? Who said we need vaccines? Who said they should invest in, like, what can't we invest in something else? Can't we invest in technology? Can't we invest in AI? Why do we invest on things that makes people dull? And these vaccines that we're talking about, it's the same vaccines that you are talking about in Europe that you are saying are not good for. They have not even the COVID-19 vaccines were lies. The same things that you want to create laboratories and us to pay for. This is this is criminal. This is criminal.
Takes place in Africa. And indeed, COVID-19 showed us how important this vaccine sovereignty is. And here is now the result. It's up and running. So really, I thank you for the excellent cooperation we had on that topic. Finally, we're teaming up not only for South Africa, but for the whole of Africa. 1 year ago, the two of us launched the Scaling Up Renewables for Africa campaign. This is basically to mobilize investments for clean energy, to help provide access to electricity, because we all know 600 million people on the continent still lack access to electricity. Therefore, tomorrow is a big day, our final pledging event. We have brought governments, companies, and philanthropists together.
This access to electricity is going to come heavily on us. It's not going to be free. It's going to be very, very expensive. The electricity that we are paying for, the electricity that we are actually investing in, the Europeans are going to be the ones who are benefiting, making profit out of them, the electricity that they've already used our money to generate. They're going to use our money to generate the electricity. It's us who are going to pay them every month interest to use the electricity. So this is going to be massive. It's actually massive for Europe. It's a recolonization of Africa in a scale which has never been seen before. If you commit people to almost a trillion in 1 day, and they will have to pay it, that is looting and stealing at a scale in which it has never been seen before.
With one clear goal in mind, to power the future of this entire continent with clean, affordable, and accessible energy. And tomorrow we are hosting here the final pledging event together. So thank you very much again, and very much looking forward to the next days. Thank you.
Mr. President, dear Cyril, dear Ursula, first of all, I would like
Okay, let me share this one. Let me get out of the G20. It's okay. I spoke about the G20. I just wanted to talk about a little bit about Ruto in Kenya. The Ruto government GDP, the gross domestic product of Kenya The main product that Ruto is selling at the moment is human beings. Human beings export have become the largest export of Kenya. Human trafficking. The government is making massive amounts of money out of labor exporting labor to other countries like let me just share this before I actually elaborate. Let me share what Ruto says.
Young people like you is in the export of labor. We've worked on bilateral labor agreements across the different parts of the world. I was explaining that last week, for those of you who follow the news, we put on the newspaper opportunities for the first 2,500 nurses going to Saudi Arabia. And apart from that 2,500 nurses, we have opportunities like those for 500,000 Kenyans to work in different parts of the world. Why? Because we have good talent. Our human capital is premium, and we need to use our human capital to drive our development and our economy.
Ruto says he's got superhuman capital and he need to use his human capital to drive development, meaning he sells human beings to other countries in order to run Kenya. That's what they do. They sell people to Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and all those sometimes European and American countries. In the Arabic countries, there's something called the kafala system. The kafala system is after being sold by Ruto, you forfeit all the labor rights, even your. Maybe I should share. Maybe I should check for. But let me explain because it's already. I'm going to make it too long. The kafala system, it's a system which they use in Arabic countries uh, for labor. What they do is the person who brought you to the country is responsible for your life, is legally responsible for your life, meaning even if they can eliminate you, they won't get arrested. You are just like a dog. You are um, you are being kept at the mercy of your employer. You have no right to complain to any department without the approval of the employer. You have no right to change a job without the approval of the employer. No right to go home without the approval of the employer. So this gives the employer a very, very powerful or very much huge power above the slave which is being sold by Ruto at the end of the day. So the kafala system is applied to the people that Kenya is selling to, and now Kenya is making massive amount of money from selling people. I'm not saying people should not travel to work in other countries. My point is the government should not make money out of people working in other countries, because this will compromise the system. If you start selling the people, then it compromises the integrity. It's no more about people moving voluntarily. It's you who have to go and search for people, and you will have to fetch them and send them. If people have become the major export in Kenya, eh, then you will have to search people, Ruto is claiming that is selling people because they are skillful. He's got a lot of people who are skillful. So if he's got a lot of people who are skillful, why not use them in Kenya to develop Kenya? Why do you sell them to to other countries to become slaves? So, but we're talking about evil people. We're talking about evil system run by evil people. I only wanted to highlight this for people to be aware of other things that are happening in other countries. Let us wake up, click the like button and subscribe, share this, because obviously this will be sabotaged. Thank you very much.